Stay tuned. Coming up, I interview Magnum Bower, a heavy-duty tow truck operator who survived being struck on a roadway incident, resulting in him becoming a quadriplegic. Hello and welcome to Situational Awareness Matters Show, episode 386. I'm your host, Rich Gassaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence, time-compressed environments with changing conditions. The SA Matters mission is simple. We want to help you see the bad things coming and time to prevent bad outcomes. Today's feature segment is sponsored by Gassaway Virtual Training. There are 33 online training programs there for you to choose from. Some of the programs are live events presented virtually, and some of them are pre-recorded programs. To learn more, visit samatters.com website and click on the Virtual Training tab. In case you missed the announcement, on January 10th to 14th of this year, 2022, we expanded our mission by training 7 master instructors to our cadre of experts. We were on track to do this expansion in June of 2020, but the pandemic stalled the plans. But now we are making the turn and things seem to be getting back on track and back to some form of normalcy. We've certainly seen an uptick in the demand for our programs and consulting services, so we're excited about that. Okay, back to the master instructors. There are 7 individuals that we've added to have some amazing credentials. Indulge me for a moment while I just briefly introduce you to them. Retired Fire Chief Jerry Strike. He's our most senior master instructor. He has 32 years of experience in the fire service, and he's been working with us since 2016. Jerry's primary area of contribution will be fire and EMS programs, leadership programs, industrial assessments, and accident investigations. Officer Drew Moldnauer has over a decade of policing experience and will serve as our law enforcement, private security, and use of force expert. Retired Fire Captain David McKenzie brings 38 years of fire service experience to the team, and he will be focusing on fire service programs. Captain Brian Main offers 30 years of experience in the fire service and is certified to instruct a wide array of both fire service and industrial programs. Captain Jeremy Saul offers 20-plus years of military and fire service experience. Additionally, Jeremy has experience conducting industrial programs and assessments, and he'll be working in both the public safety and industrial fields with our clients there. Chief Jim Baldwin has 32-plus years of progressively responsible public safety experience in roles that have included firefighter, EMT, paramedic, SWAT medic, company officer, training officer, and fire chief. And additionally, Jim has 20-plus years of law enforcement experience, having served as a deputy sheriff, constable, juvenile and adult corrections officer, and he currently serves as the chief administrator for a 276-bed correctional facility. Jim will be delivering programs for the fire service, law enforcement, and corrections. And as if I wasn't excited enough to have assembled that amazing team, we're also launching a European division, which will be led by Bart and Esther Van Leven. Esther will run the administrative side of the business, while Bart focuses on serving fire brigades, information technology firms, and organizations seeking to learn how to use smart data to improve high-risk decision-making. And while I'm doling out the accolades, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Carol Gutwald, the brains behind the U.S. operations. Carol's been with us from the beginning. She handles all the business aspects of situational awareness matters, and if you've ever booked a program or worked with us, you have without a doubt met Carol and experienced her amazing customer service. All right, let's jump into our feature segment and my interview with Magnum Bower, a heavy-duty tow truck operator who survived being hit on a roadway incident, but it resulted in him becoming a quadriplegic. Everyone, welcome to the Situational Awareness Matters show. I'm your host, Rich Gassaway. Today we have a special guest. It's a first ever opportunity for our show to have a heavy duty tow truck operator on to talk about an event where he was struck on a roadway incident. And as we all know, for first responders, that's the number two leading cause of first responder injuries and fatalities is struck by or responding to or returning from incidents. So I put a kind of an announcement out on my social media, and Magnum got connected with me there and said that he'd be willing to be a guest. So I want to thank you and welcome to the show, Magnum Bowers from Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Magnum, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So tell us a little bit about your background as to how it is that you got into the business. Is it a family business, or what attracted you to do this kind of work?
Honestly, I didn't know I was going to do this type of work. I started to go to school to become a gym teacher because it was very physical in high school and stuff, and I love playing all different types of sports. And then things kind of changed for me. I'm not really a books person, education wise. So then I changed my major to criminal justice. And then I talked to a couple of friends of mine that were police officers and suggested that, I just do community college and go to the academy. So I actually did do that. And I graduated from the police academy in 2011. And I was certified and everything, tried to get a job for like 4 years. But around the time I was trying to get a job, it was pretty hard to get. The process isn't as simple as everybody thinks. So I was working part-time at Estes Truck Lines as a dock worker at night, and going to the police academy during the days, which is very frowned upon. But I had to support my family. I had a new baby in my life at the time when I was in the academy. And after 4 years going through a couple hiring processes and stuff like that, I needed something that was more full-time and better pay. So I went over to Rob's Automotive. My uncle works there. I've known Rob since I was a little kid, and they gave me the opportunity to start off as a flatbed driver. And then within a year, I moved up to a medium duty wrecker driver. And then after that, he got me my CDL, and I started doing heavy tow truck operating. So that's pretty much how I got into the field. And then I learned a lot from a lot of the people there, and I started to enjoy it. And then I started to go on accident scenes, and using my brain and physical, abilities to do these jobs was just, I don't know. I just couldn't get enough of it sometimes. I worked a lot of hours, and I just loved doing it. Every time I answered my phone, I'd go do it. It was just fun. So I gave up on the whole police thing, thinking that it was going to be a safer alternative, but it's not.
Yeah, well, at the time it seemed that way, but it turned out differently, as we know, and we'll talk about. I'm curious, is there to be did you start out doing heavy duty tow, or did you start out, well, I think you said you started out doing flatbed.
Yes.
And is flatbed considered heavy tow? You're just gonna have to educate me on this, because I just don't know better.
No, flatbed's just like light duty, like cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. No CDL required. Just typical tows, accident scenes for cars and stuff, nothing big. And then the medium duty wrecker, that's, smaller box trucks and bucket trucks and stuff like that, up to a certain weight limit where a CDL is not required. But it's still like a gist of the heavy style thing, just on a smaller scale. Heavy duty is, tractor trailers, fire trucks, trash trucks, stuff along those lines.
Okay. And when you get into this kind of work, and again, I don't know, so you have to be my teacher, is there a formal process of training, or is it just learn on the job?
A little bit of both, depending on how easy you pick up the stuff. You normally get about 2 weeks of training on the job, actually. Before that, with your permit, I had to get my CDL. So I did some driving, and I picked it up very quickly. So then I got my test pretty quick. And the day I got my CDL, the next day I did my first job by myself towing. I went to Connecticut, I believe, um, because they needed help. So I did that, and I just picked it up really quick. So the first 2 weeks of training, you get a lot of basic hookup jobs, and you learn some things, and you drive with different drivers to learn how to do these things. But after that, once you're on your own, it's kind of, learn as you go, call if you got questions, and, go from there. But there was a big support system with the drivers. The drivers are really close with each other. And anytime you have a question, you just call somebody and explain it, and they'll teach you. And I just learned a lot on my own. I'm a hands-on learner anyway. So if there ain't something I didn't know, I just kind of taught myself and then asked if it was good.
And as far as your safety on the roadway, is there any type of training that an operator would go through to learn about how to be situationally aware on highway or roadway incidents where other vehicles would be moving? And is that something that an operator would formally get some training on informally, or they just got to figure it out on their own?
There's some formal training. Basically the first step is when you're assessing a situation is you have to assess how dangerous it is. And then the next step is to find an escape plan. So, you always want to keep your eye on the road if you're on the side of the road. And basically, if you see something that you can catch, you got to figure out where you could dive to get out of the way, underneath of a truck or into a truck or something along those lines. It's kind of hard to really set up any type of safety precaution as far as how to avoid something, because it happens in a split second. You always have to wear your high vis, gear, your vests and stuff like that, and just keep your head on a swivel, because when you're on the side of the road, like the turnpike or any major highway, it's like cars are going by you 60, 70 miles an hour. It's a split second, and you really have to watch what's going on.
And thank you. And prior to the incident that we're going to be talking about today, prior to that, had you had any, what you might term near misses or lesser incidents of lesser seriousness than the one we're going to talk about, that anywhere throughout your time serving?
Oh, quite often, all the way from when I was a flatbed light duty driver all the way up to heavy. There's numerous times where I've even taken short video clips of how people don't care that we're on the side of the road where you're supposed to move over or slow down, and nobody does, especially on highways. They just don't care that we're doing our job. And I've had quite a few near misses. Actually, the day before my accident, I was on a back road, and luckily I was in my truck, but a dump truck took out the mirror of my truck on the passenger side. It was only 5 miles an hour, but that's still like nobody was paying attention. And it's pretty bad, so I didn't even have my truck the day of my accident. So
so one of the one of the early things that we could glean from this is just how inattentive or even not caring the general motoring population is to the people who are on roadways or on sides of roadways doing the kind of work that you do. That there just seems to be a general I don't know what the word would be, just a general lack of care that there's actually a real person there that they could cause real harm to.
oh yeah, absolutely. We're always taught to position our trucks offset further out, so that way we give ourselves a little bit of a cushion, but that only does so much. Just kind of like police officers angle their cars sometimes behind police people they pull over. Our trucks are a lot bigger, and just because we have lights on doesn't mean people are paying attention, and they're only so bright during the day.
Right. So the event that we're going to be talking about occurred on May 9th of 2019. So kind of set that day up. Was it Were you on call or at work, working daytime, evening? What was the weather like? What was the call volume like as far as the number of times that you had been called into service to do your work that day? Lead us up to that event. Was it a heavy workload day, a light workload day? What was that day like?
So actually that day, like I said, the day before my truck got hit, so they were trying to fix the mirror on my truck, and it was early in the morning. Like everybody kind of just started. It was a little slow that day. And a call came in, and all the other drivers were out doing stuff. And one of the other drivers was asked to go do this call, and he was busy doing something. And there's a truck that sits for a mid shift guy. And I told my dispatcher, I said, listen, I'll go do it in that truck, get it done. It was a simple winch out, up a car carrier tried pulling into a Wawa, and he bottomed out. So I figured, hey, it'll take me 15 minutes or so, and I'll be back before the guy to get into his truck. I think it was like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Nice dry day, early in the morning. So I took somebody else's truck out just to do this quick job and try to get it done. So that way, I can keep moving with my day and get back and get in my truck.
Was the fact that you were using someone else's truck, did that cause any kind of unfamiliarity with that truck or how that equipment operates, or is it pretty much all the same equipment, just it was someone else's truck you were driving?
For what I had to do, the equipment on the truck didn't make a difference. I was only going to use a winch line, and I've driven every truck in our fleet, so I know them like the back of my hand.
Okay, so that didn't have any bearing. All right, so you're dispatched to get this car carrier that's kind of bottomed out coming into a Wawa parking lot. And for those who don't know what a Wawa is, that's kind of like a Quick Mart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're pulling up to this scene, what are you seeing?
So I see that the car carrier's halfway in the roadway, and he's blocking the entrance to the Wawa. There's police officers there. They're going to block the road for me. So I quickly, hook up and I winch him out, and then I tell the guy to pull off to the side of the road. So while he's doing that, I reposition my truck on an angle behind him, and then start walking up to the driver's side of the vehicle where the driver is.
Okay, so he's pulled out. He's on the side of the road, right?
Yes.
Your vehicle is behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the police at?
The police officers were blocking the intersection at the time when I started to walk up to the truck. From my understanding, they moved after that because we were all out of the roadway. We were off to the side of the road.
Okay, so at the time you were starting to walk up to his truck, the police officer at that early point had the roadway blocked, so there wasn't traffic coming up alongside you. Is that what I understand?
Yes.
Yeah. And then while you were walking up, the police officer, because the obstruction had been cleared and both of you were clearly on the roadside, the officer reopened the lane for traffic to move. Yes.
From what I can recall, yes.
Yeah. But as best as you can recall, that officer didn't coordinate that with you or anything, or to do anything to put you on notice. Hey, I'm opening the lane here so that traffic's going to start moving. So that. Is that
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So from where that officer is blocking, it's at an intersection. I think I heard you say. How far back is that officer in his car from where you are and the tow hauler is located? Is that a couple hundred yards, or what's the distance there?
I'd say he was about like 250 feet,
Oh, okay. Pretty close.
So not a crazy distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're walking up to the tow hauler, and I assume that's just to get some information from the driver for like billing purposes and things like that? Is that what your intent is, to just go up and get that information from him?
Yeah. So what I do, and I've learned on the job, is instead of sitting there, because we put all of our information into a tablet, instead of sitting on the side of the road trying to put information on the tablet, I try to go up to the drivers, take a picture of their mileage, take a picture of their registration, and then I go back to my truck, so I'm out of harm's way, to put it all into the computer. Because I believe, if I remember, they were an account, so it's just easier to do it that way. So, as you know, that's what I was doing.
Okay. And are you dressed in your high visibility gear that day?
Yeah, we had our uniforms on. I had my uniform on. I can't speak for other people, but yeah, I had my uniform on, pants, shirt, everything.
When you say other people, there were other tow operators there with you, or were you alone?
I was alone. I'm
Oh,
saying in general, like I
in
don't know
general
what
that
else
day.
was doing that day.
Yeah. Okay. So you were dressed in high vis. Do you wear any kind of a helmet or a hard hat or anything typically when you're on the roadway surfaces?
No.
Okay. So you have your back to traffic. Yes.
Uh, yes and no. I was kind of like straddling the side of the truck, like
Okay.
like walking sideways, looking back and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um,
So you're
and then,
looking back for traffic as you're walking up there?
yeah, yeah.
And can you see can you see the officers clear the intersection and the traffic's now moving?
No, because that wasn't something I was really looking at the time. It was all clear when I was walking up.
Okay.
I might have opened up as I got onto the truck.
Okay. What do you mean when you say got onto the truck?
So to keep myself out of the way, since it's a car carrier, there's kind of like a little bubble that if you walk all the way up the steps to the window of the driver, I try to hug the door as much as possible. There's like a little bubble there, essentially about a 2 foot gap, that I'm kind of in. So I was standing up on the top step of the truck, leaning into his truck to take pictures. And then I got his registration, and I was taking a pic of the registration, and that's when I got hit.
Okay. Did you know before you got hit, did you know that traffic was moving, or you still didn't know that the traffic was kind of, released to run alongside of you? Did did you know?
I still didn't know that traffic was coming.
Okay. So you're in this bubble. So you kind of are thinking you're in a safe zone, even though you're up on the side of the truck. There's part of the truck, I assume part of the carrier kind of sticks out, which kind of creates then a little inlet for you to be standing in, that kind of puts you in a safe zone, or
Yes.
so you thought.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's the case, then I could see how you would think that you were in the safe zone. How did you get hit?
So the guy that hit me, I believe he pulled out of the Wawa, so he wasn't even in the roadway. From what I was told, because obviously I didn't know what was going on, there was a car coming the opposite direction, and the stake body truck tried to squeeze by and went into oncoming lane a little bit, and then the other car didn't get out of the way because he's in his right of lane of travel, and he swerved over. And as he swerved over, the mirror of the truck hit me, and then the stake body part hit me and pinched me in between the support pole of the car carrier. And then I fell into the roadway as he, continued to drive.
How fast was he going when he hit you?
I think they said around 25 miles an hour.
Okay. And so I'm going to guess from that point on, for some period of time, everything you're about to tell me now is based on someone else's account who then told you what happened. Because I'm guessing you don't have much ready recall of what happened, like from the point of impact, for some additional period of time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I had pre and post amnesia from the incident. A lot of the pre-existing stuff came back. That's how I can explain the day. And that was also information that was kind of like given to me, and then I started to recall after a few months of it happening. But yeah, a lot of the information is things that were given to me.
Okay. So we'll just acknowledge that this is coming as third-hand information, but we'll take it as accurate because it's coming to you by the way of witnesses and people who were there. So he hits you, pins you, then you fall off the truck.
Yes.
How far of a fall was that?
Say it's about a 3-foot drop.
Okay. Do you know what part of your body you fell on?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So you're on the ground. Are you conscious?
I was actually. I don't remember of it, but I was conscious because the person that was behind the truck that hit me stopped right away. I believe that's the guy was a retired fire marshal who I gave my wife's phone number to right away to call. And then they called my dispatch and all that stuff. And I apparently kept trying to stand up, but I couldn't. And he just kept trying to keep me stay down until somebody got there.
Okay. And the police who cleared the intersection, are they still on the scene or did they leave?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So there is a 911 call and a response of emergency services to the scene. This happened in the city of Philadelphia, right?
It's right on the outskirts between Bensalem and Philadelphia.
Okay. So emergency services respond. I presume that you went to the hospital by ambulance. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you probably don't have much ready recall of the things that happened even when you were in the emergency room. Is that fair?
Just from what I was told happened.
Yeah. So tell me what you were told, happened from, you can tell me things that others had told you what happened on the scene and then in the ER and, all the things that if not for the gift of others sharing that you just have no memory of.
Yeah. So after I was hit and the paramedics got there, I believe I had like 19 or 20 staples put in my head because my head was busted open. From my forehead, it's kind of hard to see, but I have a scar that goes all the way up here that was stapled shut on scene. And then I was transferred to Jefferson Torresdale Hospital, I believe, where they were trying to get me stable. I couldn't get stable. And I believe they finally did get me stable. And then I went into surgery after going through MRIs and stuff. I had injuries from C4 spinal cord to C7. My C5 and C6 vertebrae were shattered. So they had to go in and remove those and put 2 cadaver bones in, a plate and 6 screws through the front of my throat. And then immediately after the surgery, I got pneumonia. So I had 104.5 degree fever. And I was also intubated at this time as well because I couldn't breathe on my own because of the spinal cord injury. And then they had to get hyperthermic blankets to try to break my fever. Eventually my fever did break, and I believe it was so this happened on a Tuesday. I believe by Sunday or Saturday or something along those lines, I came to a little bit. I was in and out, as they did induce me into a coma for a short amount of time with medication. But then I ended up coming to and to, people around me, and I had no idea what happened.
So when was the first time that I guess at some point you'd have to say, if you were coherent enough, what happened to me? Because you don't know, because it happened so fast, and then you were, kind of incapacitated. So what's your first memory of someone explaining to you what happened?
So when I first woke up, my wife was there, and
were you able to recognize her?
I was.
Okay.
I was able to recognize my wife, and I didn't know why I couldn't move, because at that point my legs couldn't move. I just had small movement in my shoulders. I apparently like made a hand gesture with my hands wouldn't open and close, but I made a hand gesture with my hand like an airplane. Me and my wife were supposed to go to Vegas. So the first thing I did was make a hand airplane gesture, and she said, "No, honey, we're not going." And I was like confused, and then they told me what happened, and I was just I didn't know what to say at that point, and I couldn't talk because I was intubated with a tube down my throat still, and they told me that they couldn't remove the tube even though I woke up because I wouldn't since the C5 and C6 vertebrae were shattered and the damage to my spinal cord, my diaphragm was having issues breathing on my own that I potentially would have to be on a breathing machine for the rest of my life. But as time went on, being awake for longer and longer, they did eventually extubate me and take the tube out, and I was able to breathe on my own after they lowered the oxygen level. And the first thing I did tell them, I didn't want to be on any pain medication. I'm like really against that type of stuff. So they were only giving me liquid Tylenol instead of the fentanyl and the morphine they were giving me. And I just, I was just happy to be alive, but it was very scary to not feel anything from my chest down. I didn't know what to do. I'm a very physical, labor intensive person, so that I didn't know what to do. It was very scary.
How long were you in the hospital?
So I was in the ICU, I believe 10 to 14 days, if I'm not mistaken. And then as soon as I was released from there, I went straight to Moss Rehabilitation Hospital to start my rehab.
Okay. And what did rehab consist of?
So I was in rehab for 4 months. I lived in the hospital at Moss Rehab. And first it was testing to see what I could feel in my legs because all my sensation was thrown off. They did some testing to find out if I was an incomplete or a complete injury. And the difference between that is incomplete injury is meaning you have some potential of recovery, but they don't know to what extent. A complete injury means that you're going to be the way you are, and the chance of any recovery is basically none. So once they found out that I was an incomplete, I was considered a C4 incomplete injury. I started rehabbing arm movements because from where my injury is, basically anything from my chest down doesn't work. My triceps don't work. My hands won't open and close. I had my biceps do work to an extent. And it was just doing everything we possibly could at that point to get things moving and see what they can make happen.
And that was 4 months there?
4 months there. I was there from May to August, I think.
And when you're going through this kind of rehab, is it painful? I mean, other than mentally painful, is there physical pain involved in this?
So that's a tough one because I didn't really start experiencing pain until like 6 months later. I didn't have pain in my neck. Luckily, I haven't had pain in my neck, knock on wood. The only pain that I really had was more discomfort when I would sleep. The hospital beds are so uncomfortable, and I was in a neck brace for a long time. And I had to sleep on my back, which I'm not a back sleeper. And I was just more uncomfortable sleeping. I felt better when I was in the wheelchair. But it was more a lot of discomfort than anything at that point.
Okay. So the injury is a C4 incomplete. So with rehab, what were you able to regain that you had lost from the initial injury? What was rehab able to do for you?
So in the beginning, I started off in a power wheelchair because I could only just move my hands to control that. And they would have to help me transfer myself onto a table. We started core exercises to try to get me to sit up. And because I had no, the muscle loss you lose from being in a bed is substantial. I had low blood pressure, so I had to wear a band around my stomach. Um, I couldn't um, I couldn't control my bowels or anything to go to the bathroom. So you have to wear diapers and stuff like that. Um, we started working on trying to like throw a ball. Um, and stuff like that. And over time, being in the wheelchair, I had one day where I was outside with my son and my mom, because that's the only type of freedom you got. I was able to take the power wheelchair outside and sit outside in nice weather. I came back in and I asked my son to tie my shoe, and I started to move my right foot. And I asked my son, I said, "Are you picking up my foot?" And he goes, "No." And I did it again. I picked my leg up out of the wheelchair and I was like shocked. And then my mom came in and we showed her and she videotaped it. And we were just, I was so happy. I started crying because I never thought I was ever going to do that. And then about after that, they immediately started working with my legs to like just kick a little ball here and there. And then 2 weeks later, my left leg started moving. And then I started to be able to wiggle my toes. And as time went on, I started to be able to move my fingers a little bit here and there. And I started to be able to use my body more in there. Once my legs started to move enough, they instantly started, all right, well, let's get you up and start walking you. So they have machines that they can hold you up, and you have 3 or 4 people helping you move your legs to get things going. And as time went on, it was just aggressive. They tell you the first couple months, 6 months or so is the part where is crucial in recovery. So they were just aggressively moving me. We eventually moved on to like a robotic machine they hooked me to on a treadmill that holds me up. And it's just very impressive in what they do. Then we started moving on to like a leg press machine with light weight, and it just started coming real quick. And I wasn't like standing on my own or anything, but at that time when I started to see this progress, I told my nurses, I said, I'm going to walk out of here. I said, I'm going to walk out of here with a cane or a walker or something. And they didn't know what to say. And, I left August 6th. I walked from my room with a walker out the front door to the vehicle I left in. So it was definitely a long journey and very aggressive. I just had to keep a positive mindset that I saw progress, that I'm like, I'm going to do this now.
Wow. That's a very inspirational story. Where are you at today with your overall health and well-being? Now about 2.5, heading toward 3 years past this.
So I get around with a cane. It's very tough, but I have to try to keep a positive mindset. I have 3 kids, so I want to prove to them that anything's possible. And I go to the gym 3 days a week as my physical therapy that I do with my brother. He comes with me and helps me with everything. I have special devices to help me lift the weights. It's a lot different when I was, younger. I can't lift a lot of weights, but it keeps me going. I do physical therapy at ATI, physical therapy twice a week, which is for my back because I started to experience a lot of back pain lately. So they're helping me strengthen my back, which is helped drastically. They're seeing progress with that. I feel like I'm pretty much plateaued as far as recovery wise. So it's more of trying to adapt to things. I'm able to drive again. I got my license back. I don't need any hand controls or anything like that, which is a great feeling to have that independence to, take my kids to school and stuff like that. but yeah, I get around and I manage. There's still a lot of things I can't do that I used to be able to do. Like I can't build things, I can't work on cars, I can't play sports, stuff like that. And that stuff really hurts me. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here for my kids. And I'm just kind of adapting as time goes on. There's a lot of things that I still deal with that have to do with my injury that I'll never overcome, and it's some of them may think it's embarrassing, but like I laugh it off. I make jokes about it, and that's the only way to keep moving.
Now, what are some of the, as you've had some time now to reflect back on this, are there any words of wisdom or pieces of advice that you would give to other either heavy tow operators or first responders who have to be out and among people who are driving on roadways and highways? Because we've acknowledged that you'd had some previous events and near misses as well. So when you reflect back on all that collectively, just share your best advice for those who are still out there doing it.
Yeah, what I would say is, in all honesty, is always have an escape plan. If you are not in the field and you're listening to this, pay attention to who's on the side of the road. Cops, police, cops and police are the same, but fire, EMS, construction workers, tow truck drivers, move over, slow down. We want to go home at the end of the day too. I don't care if you're rushing to work because you're late, doesn't mean you should not care about somebody else's life. Everybody has a family at home, and their life's important. And it's simple, just slow down or move over. And if you can't move over, slow down. That's as simple as that. And as somebody in the industry, keep your head on a swivel, always know what you got to do, and always pay attention and wear your high visibility gear. As much as it might suck sometimes, just do it. It may save your life, it may not. It's just something you should always do. And even to this day, I may not do what I used to do because I can't anymore physically. If there's somebody broken down on the side of the road, I pull over behind them just because I ain't got anywhere to be. I'll pull over and give them an extra coverage if they're changing their tire or something like that. Even when I was going home from work, if somebody got in an accident, I pull over. Somebody that broke down the road, I'd help them push their car off the side of the road. Even I've had incidents where I'm going down 95 in Philadelphia, and a cop's got somebody pulled over all the way in the left lane, which nobody should do. I pulled over and asked the cop if he wants help getting them over to the side of the road by me blocking traffic. If you can help. Don't just drive by. Help people. Like, we need to have each other's backs. And in the tow industry, believe it or not, a lot of tow truck drivers do help other tow truck drivers. You don't see a lot of, cops helping tow truck drivers if they're not on that call. You don't see a lot of EMS doing it, but a lot of tow truck drivers do have each other's back when it comes to that. And I'd like to see everybody have each other's backs. Obviously, if you have a call you got to go to, it's understandable. But if you're just driving, pull over and help. It could save somebody's life.
Yeah, that's a powerful message. Now, before we started recording, you had told me that you've been inspired to create a YouTube channel to kind of share your thoughts and lessons and such. So tell us, and I know it's kind of early in your getting it launched, but tell us what you have, what you've been inspired to do, and then what the message is going to be and how people could find it when you get it going.
So me and my wife wanted to start it early on, but because of certain reasons, I wasn't allowed to start one. So now I'm kind of just backtracking. I've only made one video so far, and it's kind of just like an introductory video of what I want to talk about on my channel. I kind of want to cover a lot of different bases of things. I want to cover things that I've gone through in my life. what it's like to be a quadriplegic and what it's like to struggle, the things that I have to do to adapt. I like to cover the move over law as much as I can, motivate people in different ways. And kind of sometimes I want to have videos of like my daily life, what I'm doing and what I have to do. So if there's other people out there that need to know, like, okay, well, how can I get my truck easier, or how can I get my car or my house or walk? I want to eventually interview people that are in the field as well, and the things that they go through. I just want to basically motivate people that, you know, there's things that you can do to help others. There's things that you can do to help yourself. And just because you're going through hard times, that don't give up and keep moving, because there's always something out there that you can do to make things better for yourself. And as far as finding my channel, I have one video up, like I said. I can't remember the name of my channel off the top of my head because it's so new. And I really struggled with a name. And I finally found one I liked. And right now, I guess just I'm having a brain fart. But I believe I have it linked to my Instagram page. I do photography as a hobby. And so my Instagram page is magshots_357. And I just, like I said, I do as a hobby, but I will have my link to my YouTube in the bio there. So that way people can check that out and support me, see what I have going, and see if I do a good job at least.
I think your story is one of one that's very educational for the lay person. You know, the fact that you said that people need to pull over because those that are out there working are real people that have families that want them to come home to them. You know, that's powerful. And then just to share your your motivation with those who might be struggling with something in life, and if they can see your ambition and how you are motivated and overcoming the challenges that have been presented to you, not by anything that you had created, but by someone else, I think is going to be a really solid message. So what I'm going to do is, when the show is done, I'm going to ask you to email me the YouTube channel, and I'll put it in the show notes so that others can watch it. And even if there's only one and it's the introduction, it's at least the start of a relationship that you could have with people about who you are and how important your message is. And on the Instagram, is it just getting started too, or is there more?
No, my Instagram's been going for a little while now. Okay. That was kind of a hobby I picked up to entertain myself about 2 years ago. I dabbled in it a couple of years before that, but the past 2 years I've done a lot more photos and stuff like that, things that I've learned along the way. Just because of my incident, I struggle with body positivity myself. So I focus a lot on that with my photography stuff. And I really, like I said, I have so many messages that I like to push forward. And, you know, that's another one of them is body positivity. And that's what I do with my photography stuff. I try to help people with that.
Fantastic. Magnum, thank you for the gift of your time. I cannot believe that we've clocked an hour off on this conversation already. It went by so fast. You're a good storyteller with an amazing story to tell. And I could easily see how you could be motivational to others. And so I hope you'll continue to pursue that and to share your message with others. It's really been quite a pleasure to be able to talk with you today.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Magnum Bower, for sharing your story with us today. Since the start of the pandemic, I've had some tremendous opportunities to present programs to virtual audiences ranging in size from 6 to 400, with recorded playbacks now being viewed over 30,000 times. Here's hoping that booster shots will help us to continue our quest to return to some form of normalcy. I'd like to thank the organizations that have hosted virtual and live situational awareness programs. since the start of the pandemic. Before the pandemic, what I used to do in this segment of the show is I would list our upcoming events so you'd know where to find us if you wanted to attend one of our programs. Now, we haven't had much of a list over the past couple of years because of the pandemic, but the list is starting to grow, and I'd like to help you to know to where we're going to be in the short-term future here. February 9th, Thomas Jefferson Accelerator Laboratory in Virginia. February 23rd, the Maritime Fire Chiefs Association in Canada. February 25th, Ops Central LinkedIn Live event. March 1, the Wright County Fire Chiefs Association in Minnesota. March 7th and 8th, the Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute's National Fire Service Staff and Command Program in Annapolis, Maryland. March 12th through 19th, the IFOC Saudi Conference in Saudi Arabia. That one is not yet confirmed, but we have submitted to present there. March 19 and 20, the Delran Fire Department in New Jersey. March 26th, the Nebraska Fire Chiefs Association. March 27th, the Buffalo County Mutual Aid Association, also in Nebraska. April 18 through 22, SA Matters European launch in the Netherlands. Then April 25 through 28th, the Spangledam Air Base in Germany. May 5th will be at the National Park Service in Montana. And I'm sure the master instructors are working hard to add their programs to this list as well. If you want to see the list, you can always visit samatters.com website, and the list of all of our upcoming programs are listed there. If you're interested in hosting a live event or a virtual event, just click on the Contact Us tab at the top of the SA Matters homepage, and then we'll be glad to give you a call. Finally, remember, check the show notes for how to subscribe to our newsletter and how to follow us on social media. There we share ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and how to improve the skills of critical thinking and resilient problem solving. Well, that's it. Episode 386 of the Situational Awareness Matters show is complete. Thank you again to my guest, Magnum Bower, for sharing your amazing story with us today. And thank you to our listeners and viewers for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters show with Dr. Richard Gassaway. If you're interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit his website, samatters.com. If you're interested in booking Dr. Gassaway for a program, or if you would like to be a guest on his show, click the Contact Us tab at the top of the homepage.